get your thinking skills on, because I got a problem here. See if you can figure out what the answer is. What I'm interested in, to get your comments and get you guys thinking. Here's the symptoms of what was going on when I first started this engine up. I'm gonna let you guys comment on it and see if you can figure it out. The person that is closest to the actual thing that it was, you'll have my undying gratitude as a loyal Steve Morris critical thinker, figuring out problems and figuring out how stuff works. And we'll give you a shout out on the video tomorrow of what this actually was and what happened to it. Now, this is something that is totally different for us. Normally, obviously, we do all boosted stuff, but we will do some other things. And this one is kind of interesting because this is a nearly almost 30-year-old engine. It's at least 25 years old. They're probably 20, 25 years old right in there. This was a NHRA Pro Stock truck engine. Check this out.
Championship round of 1999.
Hey, and don't forget, if you want to have any chance of possibly getting any one of the wagon parts like these, also wanted to make sure that you guys know that because these are such big parts, we're not going to put them in your order and just make a surprise. So you might get your order. We're sending the parts out later. So you might just, and I think what we're going to do is, in fact, this is what we're going to do. See, I think about this thing right on the cuff, right off the cuff. We will, after Wednesday, we'll put out a video announcing who the winners are. And then we'll package up all the stuff, package up the fender. I got to cut that rear quarter off, package, and send that stuff out to whoever we randomly choose out of all the merchandise buyers. So remember, buy some merch. And also, Thursday, big block Ford pulling truck engine. Billy Bad Boy, especially for a Ford. So this is old school small block Chevrolet stuff. Now, way back in the day when I was doing NHRA Pro Stock, not Pro Stock truck, but Pro Stock stuff at Dart Cylinder Heads, this had just come into play and people were just starting to build this class, and they were trying this out with all the S10s and Rangers and all this other cool stuff. And it was a really cool class. Small block Chevrolet based. Now, this is now being used in a mini mod pulling tractor. And what we had to do here on this application, because it was never designed to be in a pulling tractor, all right? So I'll kind of go over it with you later, but what we ended up having to do in this in particular was this was knocking the thrust bearing out every time it made a pull down the track. Every time. Because they're on the clutch, they have a lot of clutch action, they're getting the truck going, there's a lot of clutch pressure, there's a lot of stuff going on there, and the engine is getting pulled down going backwards, so it doesn't just rev up, make a shift, rev up, make a shift, rev up, make a shift, and then chop throttle. Okay, so this thing was knocking the thrust bearing out of it, so we had to develop and make a rollarized thrust bearing in the front of the engine to alleviate this thing killing the thrust instantaneously. So we fixed the crank, fixed the block, put this rollarized thrust in it, and now we're dyno tuning it, just verifying where it's at, and it's pretty darn interesting. So one of the things that you can see here, I'll just give you a rundown on it. These are old school, before they had castings for everything. This was the original symmetrical port Chevrolet casting. So in this world, 25 years ago, everybody would take cylinder heads, blocks, whatever, and you can see down here, I mean, there's there's cutaway sections of block, probably so they could access, you can see my fingers here, cutaway sections of block, probably so they could access clutch stuff on both sides. Cylinder heads are modified heavily. Lots of welding, lots of relocation of stuff, lots of changes. Intake manifolds, everything. These things do run really, really well, but this is the way it used to be done. You would be putting, nobody made something that you just CNC ported and you put it on. This particular engine here, I believe, was a Brian Self engine from Self Racing Engines way back in the day down in Texas. So lots of work went into this, a lot of thought process, a lot of issues. So what happened here, and I was just double checking or lashing this up and make sure everything's all good. But what happened was I started this thing up, set idle, the thing's sitting there idling, it's no problem. And then I make a check the timing, set everything up, make an initial pull. Come back, back down to idle, and it's idling a little bit higher. I mean, just like 100, 200 RPM higher. I thought, okay, whatever. So I come back in, make another pull, and everything's fine. Looks good. It's making decent horsepower. Just short pulls, not all the way up to 9,000 RPM. Come back down, and it's idling higher again. And we're going, all right. So just idling, played with the idle air screws, and it was idling a little lean, so I gave it some more fuel in the idle air screws and get it all idling fine again. Everything's sitting there and it's running, everything's good, doesn't seem to be picking on anything. And so shut it off. I went and did something. I came back, I started up, and it puffed smoke out the exhaust. Thought, that's interesting. Made another short pull on it, and when I came back down, this thing is idling high again, higher yet. And it's like, what the heck is going on? But as it's sitting there running, it wasn't doing anything. It looked fine. It was just idling really high. I come in here and I'm adjusting the carburetors. Now I have the carburetors adjusted so the throttle blades are completely shut. And I'm thinking, all right, there is something going on here, and it's wanting more fuel. The throttle blades are shut. It wants more fuel. It's got a little puff when you start it. I'm thinking, what the heck? So I take carburetors off. I'm trying to figure out what's all going on, make sure there wasn't anything, some problem with the throttle blade sticking, holding up. Maybe it was loose. Something was going on to where it was doing, something funny that was allowing it to get a bunch of air. Working my linkage and working on everything, because dual carburetor linkages sometimes will hold up, or holding up the secondary, something like that. So take carburetors off. Didn't see anything, said, okay, there is something going on that is causing this thing to, every time I make a pull, it idles up higher and higher and higher. Check the valve lash, all that's good. What do you think it is? What would be your first thing that you would start looking at and trying to figure out what it is? So here's what I want you guys to do. Answer what you think it is, and why it happened, and possibly how it happened. So think of it like this, like, this didn't happen, okay? You broke a rocker arm. You broke a rocker arm because of this, and when you broke the rocker arm, it caused the engine to do this. So give an answer of what you think it is, and why it would make it do that. So anyways, let's see what your answers are, because I'm really curious. And we'll come back, I'll show you the whole dyno session on this thing, what kind of horsepower it makes. Nice little 9,000 RPM small block Chevrolet, and it'd go faster than that, but probably up to around 95 or so. It's probably not really 10,000 RPM is probably a tick high for this, but it would probably live up there. So anyways, let's see what your comments are and answers. I want to see what you guys are thinking about.